Level 1, the flashlight helper. At 12, you are not trying to become a mechanic. You are just standing in a driveway at 9 p.m., holding a cheap flashlight while an older hand disappears under the hood of a car that will not start. The air smells like oil, hot metal, wet pavement, and old rubber. You do not understand the words yet. Alternator, spark, coolant, compression. They sound like secret codes from a world adults can enter and you cannot. Your job is simple. Keep the light steady. But your arm gets tired, the beam shakes, and someone says, "Hold it right there." For the first time, you realize a broken car can stop an entire night. Plans wait, people worry, money matters, and one solved problem can make everything move again. You watch a wrench slip, a bolt fall, a battery cable spark, and frustration turn into focus. Hours pass before the engine finally catches. It coughs, shakes, then runs. Everyone acts relieved, but you feel something deeper. A machine was dead, and hands brought it back. Later, you look at the first oil stain on your shirt like a badge. You do not know how to fix anything yet, but you know you want to understand why metal, fuel, wires, and timing can decide whether a car sits silent or comes alive. That night, while everyone else goes inside, you stay near the warm hood for 10 extra seconds, listening to it idle like it is answering a question. Level 2. The first backyard fixer. By 16, the broken car is yours. It is not a dream build. It is an Dola 800 beater with faded paint, weak brakes, a check engine light, and a mysterious rattle that disappears whenever someone else listens for it. But you love it because it gives you a reason to learn. Your first tool set costs Dola 60 and comes in a plastic case that cracks after a week. You watch repair videos on your phone, pause every 30 seconds, crawl under the car on cardboard, and realize online tutorials skip the part where rusted bolts refuse to move. The first oil change takes 2 hours. You spill half a quart, overthink the drain plug, and check the dipstick 5 times like the engine might explode. Then you move to brake pads. Then a dead battery. Then a misfire that takes 3 failed guesses, 1 borrowed scanner, and a whole Saturday to solve. When the engine finally runs smooth, the feeling is bigger than the repair. You did not just save money. You proved your hands could answer a problem. A neighbor sees you working and asks if you can look at her car too. Suddenly, you are not just the kid holding the flashlight. You are the person people call when something sounds wrong. You still make mistakes. You buy the wrong part, skin your knuckles, and learn that cheap tools break at the worst time. But every fix leaves a mark. Grease under your nails, confidence in your chest, and the first quiet belief that maybe this could be more than a backyard hobby for you. Level 3, the apprentice mechanic. At 19, the garage is no longer a place where you experiment after school. It is where you clock in. Your first job pays Dola 14 an hour, and at first, nobody treats you like a mechanic. You sweep bays, stack tires, empty drain pans, sort sockets, refill washer fluid, and carry parts boxes that smell like grease. The senior techs move like they know the future. They can hear a bad wheel bearing from across the lot, feel a stripped thread before it happens, and remove a frozen bolt with one calm pull while you would have snapped it. You want the big jobs, but the shop gives you oil changes, tire rotations, batteries, filters, and reminders to clean up. In 1 week, you do 20 oil changes and still forget where one tool belongs. Humility arrives through repetition. Every shortcut becomes a lesson. Every correction stings, then stays. One afternoon, a senior tech points to a car on lift 3 and lets you finish the brake inspection alone. Your hands shake, you measure the pads, check the rotors, torque the wheels, and wait for someone to say you missed something. Nobody does. The car leaves. No applause. Just another order closed. But you feel the shift. Trust is not given because you love cars. It is earned by doing small jobs right when everyone is busy. By the end of the month, your uniform is stained, your back hurts, and your toolbox has 3 drawers. It is not much, but it is a start. Level 4, the oil stain shop rookie. By 22, you are trusted with real jobs, and real jobs come with pressure. The cars in your bay are not practice projects. They belong to people who need them back before work, before school pickup, before one more bill ruins the week. You handle brakes, starters, belts, water pumps, suspension parts, and strange noises no manual can translate. One customer says it clunks only on left turns. Another says the smell started after a trip. Your hands get faster, but the problems get messier. A 1 hour repair becomes 4 when a bolt snaps flush with the bracket. A wrong part arrives at 4 p.m. A simple leak turns into a cracked housing. Then comes your first comeback. A car you repaired returns with the same complaint, and your stomach drops when the service writer calls your name. You check everything again, slower this time. Embarrassed, but sharper. The older techs do not laugh. They know every mechanic has a moment when confidence meets reality. You learn to test before you claim torque before you finish and explain repairs without guessing. One Friday, you complete a DOLA 900 repair order, return the keys, and the manager does not recheck your work. That trust feels heavier than praise. You are still the rookie, still covered in oil by lunch, still learning which sounds matter. But now, your name is on the ticket. When a car leaves your bay, it carries your judgment. That is when being a mechanic stops feeling like a job and starts feeling like a responsibility you have to deserve. Level 5. The diagnostic technician. At 25, you stop being impressed by the mechanic who guesses fastest. You start respecting the one who proves things. Cars come in with warning lights, rough idle, dead batteries that are not really batteries, sensors blamed by 3 people before anyone checks the wire feeding them. You buy a DOLA 3000 scan tool on payments and treat it like a second brain, but the tool does not solve the car. It only asks better questions. Fuel trim, misfire count, voltage drop, freeze frame data, wiring diagrams that look like city maps. One sedan has an intermittent stall that never happens in your bay. The customer is tired. The shop is tired. You spend 2 hours tracing a 0.2-volt signal problem through a rubbed harness near the firewall, and when the engine finally stays running, nobody outside the garage understands why you are smiling. That is the loneliness of diagnosis. Most people see a replaced part. You see the path that led there. You learn not to trust noise, pride, or the last person's opinion. You test, compare, isolate, confirm. The shop foreman starts asking, "What do you think?" before ordering parts. That question changes your place in the room. Soon, the hardest problems find your bay first, and silence before an answer becomes your new kind of confidence. You are no longer just turning wrenches. You are reading machines like stories, finding the sentence where everything went wrong and fixing the truth instead of the symptom. Level 6. The Performance Shop Mechanic. By 29, stock is no longer enough. You move into a performance shop where customers do not ask if their cars can run. They ask how much power they can survive. The bays are filled with turbo kits, coilovers, big brakes, exhausts, engine swaps, wide tires, and cars that arrive quiet but leave angry. This is the world closest to the dream posters. Dyno straps, laptop screens, fuel smell, car meets, late nights, and people arguing over horsepower numbers. Your first turbo install takes longer than planned because every bracket fights back and every hose routing matters. Then comes the dyno day. The car rolls onto the rollers, fans roar, the engine climbs, and everyone watches the graph like a heartbeat. 400 horsepower appears on the screen, and the owner looks at you like you just gave the car a new soul. But performance teaches fear too. One loose clamp can ruin a track weekend. One rush tune can destroy an engine. One customer wants power without maintenance, speed without patience, glory without understanding. You become the mechanic who says no when the build will not survive. That honesty costs money sometimes, but it builds your name. At meets, people point toward a car and say, "He built that." At the shop, younger techs ask how you made it reliable. You know the secret is not magic. It is measuring twice, tightening once, respecting heat, pressure, and limits. Fast cars are not just loud. They reveal whether the hands that built them We're disciplined at speed. Level 7, the master engine builder. At 33, you are trusted with the part of the car most people fear to touch. The engine is no longer a sealed mystery. It is blocks, pistons, rods, bearings, cams, head gaskets, oil passages, compression, and tiny measurements that decide whether power lives or dies. A customer brings you a build-worth Dola 25,000 and says he wants 700 horsepower, but what he is asking is whether your hands can protect his dream. You clean the block, check clearances, read torque specs twice, and measure parts down to 0.001 inch. The shop gets quiet when an engine is open. Everyone knows one rushed step can turn months of work into metal shavings. You remember when you could barely hold a flashlight steady. Now, younger techs watch you place bearings with calm fingers. The hardest moment is not assembly, it is the first start. Fresh oil, fresh fuel, laptop ready, everyone pretending not to be nervous. Starter turns. 1 second. 2. Then the engine catches. Rough at first, then clean. Oil pressure holds. No knock, no leak. Later on the dyno, the engine screams through its first full power pull, and the graph climbs higher than anyone says out loud. But the number is not the only victory. The real victory is that it survives. That is what separates a parts installer from a master builder. You do not chase horsepower like a gambler anymore. You build strength into the places nobody sees. The cars with your engines start appearing at track days, drag strips, and weekend meets. People open hoods and say your name before they talk about the turbo. You've become the mechanic trusted with the heartbeat. Level 8, the garage owner. By 40, the sign above the door carries your name. The first version of your shop is smaller than the dream. 2 lifts, 1 office, a used compressor, a waiting room chair, and rent due every month whether cars show up or not. You are still a mechanic, but now every problem has 2 sides. A delayed part hurts the schedule, a missed call hurts trust, a bad review feels personal. Payroll arrives even when the bank account is thin. In the first year, you work on cars all day, answer messages at night, and wonder if owning the garage was bravery or stupidity. Then the reputation starts moving faster than advertising. A customer tells his brother. A track driver sends another build. A daily driver comes back for every service because you explained the repair honestly. 2 lifts become 4. 4 becomes 6. You hire your first apprentice and see your younger self in the way he hovers near a tool cart, scared to touch the wrong thing. Some cars in your shop are simple: brakes, tires, water pumps, check engine lights. Others are dream machines with forged engines, custom suspension, and owners who saved for years. Each leaves with your standard attached. That pressure changes you. You stop asking, "Can we finish this today?" and start asking, "Will we be proud of this in a year?" The wall fills with photos. First grand opening, first shop car, first race win, first team dinner after a month that nearly broke everyone. Money matters, but reputation matters more. Your name is on the invoice, the sign, the shirts, and the stories customers tell. You no longer just fix cars. You build a place where skill, trust, and obsession can live under one roof. Level 9, the legendary master mechanic. At 50, people no longer come to your garage only because a car is broken. They come because 3 other shops gave up, because a strange noise followed them for months, because an engine they love is worth more than its price. Your name has become a promise. In 30 years, you have repaired more than 10,000 cars, built hundreds of engines, trained apprentices, and fought impossible bolts. Your old toolbox still sits near the main bay, dented, faded, covered with stickers from brands that no longer exist. Younger techs think it looks ancient. To you, it looks like proof. You are slower now than you were at 25, but sharper. You do not chase the loudest symptom. You listen. You ask when the sound started, whether it happens cold or hot, uphill or turning, after rain or after fuel. Then you lean near the engine and let the machine tell the rest. The young mechanics watch, waiting for magic, but the magic is patience. You teach them that guessing is expensive, pride is dangerous, And diagnosis is respect. You show them how to call before the bill gets worse and how to fix the car without breaking trust. The shop has stories now. The classic restored for a father and son. The race engine that survived 100 passes. The no-start truck towed in at sunset and driven out before midnight. The woman who drove 300 miles because nobody else could find the fault. The apprentice who once swept floors and now runs his own bay. Awards hang beside car meet photos. But legacy is not the sign, the invoices, or the engines with your initials inside them. Legacy is the standard that remains when your hands are not on the wrench. It is the young tech torquing a wheel twice because your voice lives in his head. It is the customer who says, "Take it there. They will tell you the truth." It is the kid at the shop window when a built car fires up, not knowing what spark just moved through him. One evening, after the last bay door closes, an old car is pushed into the driveway by a father and son. It will not start. The boy holds a flashlight while you lift the hood. His arm shakes. The beam lands everywhere, except where you need it. You smile and say, "Hold it right there." The words feel familiar enough to stop time. Minutes later, the engine coughs, catches, and comes alive. The father laughs with relief. The boy stares at the warm metal like he has seen a secret door open. You hand him a rag for the oil on his fingers. He looks at the stain like a badge. And you know the rank was never about becoming the best mechanic in the room. It was about keeping the first spark alive long enough for someone else to pick up a wrench.